Irreversible, French, Irréversible, is a 2002 French art thriller film written and directed by Gaspar Noé. Starring Monica Bellucci, Vincent Cassel, and Albert Dupontel, the plot depicts the events of a tragic night in Paris as two men attempt to avenge the brutal rape and beating of the woman they love. The film is made up of a title sequence followed by 14 segments made to look like long takes. Each of these segments is either a continuous shot or a series of shots digitally composite to resemble a continuous shot. The story is told in reverse order. 6. Theatrically released in France, the United Kingdom and the United States, Irreversible competed for the Palme d'Or at the 2002 Cannes Film Festival and won the Bronze Horse at the Stockholm International Film Festival. Critical reception was mixed, with praise towards the performances and Noé's direction, but criticism towards its graphic portrayal of violence and rape. American film critic Roger Ebert called Irreversible a movie so violent and cruel that most people will find it unwatchable, and around 200 people walked out of the screening at Cannes. 7-8 A version of the film told in chronological order, Irreversible, straight cut, French, Irreversible, in version intégrale, was released in 2023. 9. Plot. This summary is in chronological order as it is in the straight-cut version. Time destroys everything, French, le temps détruit tout. The film's main message, which appears at the end of the original cut when the movie transitions to a strobe effect. Time reveals everything, French, le temps révèle tout. In the straight cut, this message, which still appears at the end of the film, differs from the original. Alex and Marcus, a young couple, wake up together and discuss their relationship, as well as an upcoming party, while in the nude. Marcus voices concern about Alex's ex Pierre also being invited because he stole his girl, to which Alex responds that he did not steal anything, because she is not an object and it was all her decision. Alex reveals she had a dream of herself standing in a red tunnel that breaks in two. The two talk about a potential pregnancy and Marcus expresses hope in one before Alex takes a pregnancy test, the result of which is never shown, but she seems particularly pleased with. On a public train, Pierre, Alex's ex who is also invited to the party, constantly bickers with Alex over his inability to satisfy her during their relationship, while Marcus shows no interest in their squabble. Alex explains to Pierre that he always focused too much on her, and a sexual partner can feel and is aroused by their partner's pleasure. At the party, Marcus gets drunk and takes cocaine, much to Alex's disapproval. She leaves the party, asking Pierre to look after Marcus. Alex descends into a red pedestrian underpass on her way back to the train when she notices a transgender prostitute getting attacked by a man. He immediately turns his attention to Alex, anally raping her before savagely beating her into unconsciousness. After Marcus and Pierre discover Alex being taken away by paramedics, they encounter street criminals Murad and Lady, who offer to help them find the culprit. They use an ID left at the scene by the prostitute to locate her. Marcus verbally assaults Concha, the prostitute, and threatens to cut her face open in order to gather that the rapist's name is Tenia, the tapeworm, and that he frequents a gay BDSM club called Rectum. The men are chased off by other prostitutes. Marcus and Pierre jump into a taxi cab and speed off into the night. When the cab driver doesn't know where Rectum is, Marcus attacks the driver, stealing his vehicle. The two end up finding Rectum, with Pierre reluctantly following behind Marcus. Leading the charge, Marcus proceeds to get into a fight with a man he suspects of being Tenia, who ends up breaking his arm before attempting to rape him. Pierre comes to his rescue and beats the man to death with a nearby fire extinguisher as the man's companion, the actual rapist, watches in amusement. Marcus is carried out of Rectum on a stretcher while Pierre is arrested by police. Meanwhile, in a nearby small apartment, a man named the Butcher tells a friend that he was arrested for raping his daughter before dismissing the commotion going on outside. Cast: Monica Bellucci as Alex, Vincent Cassel as Marcus, Albert Dupontel as Pierre, Joe Prestia as Tenia, Fatima Adum as Fatima. Murad Kima as Murad. Halal as Lady. Haramio as Kongcha. Michel Gondouin as Mick. Jean-Louis Costes as Fisman. Philippe Naon as the Butcher. Stéphane Drouot as the Butcher's friend. Director Gaspar Noé has a cameo as one of the patrons in the rectum. Production, development and pre-production. Irreversible was originally titled Danger. 10 Gaspar Noé first found financing for the new title after he pitched the story to be told in reverse, in order to capitalize on the popularity of Christopher Nolan's film Memento, 2011. He has also attributed his ability to get funding to the celebrity status of lead actors Monica Bellucci and Vincent Cassel, who were married at the time. 12 Noé has cited several films as influences for Irreversible, including Betrayal, 1983, for its reverse chronology, In the Realm of the Senses, 1976, I Am Cuba, 1964, A Clockwork Orange, 1971, Straw Dogs, 1971, Deliverance, 1972, and Death Wish, 1974. 13-12-14 The film was produced in part by Studio Canal. 15. Noé says he had met Bellucci and Cassel at parties and that they were so madly in love at that time that they were almost asking people, "Do you have an idea for us to play in a movie together?" He originally asked them to be a part of the film project that would later become Love, but they didn't want to do the explicit sex scenes. Cassel said, "We thought about it, and he showed us lots of films with explicit sex in them like Intimacy, L'Histoire d'Io, and In the Realm of the Senses. And finally it was getting very complicated and we said no." 16. Noé then pivoted and suggested a rape revenge movie backward, and they agreed. 17. Cassel ended up as a co-producer on the film and stated that, originally, Noé wanted to purchase the rights to remake the 1983 film Betrayal, but couldn't. 16. The film was conceived in reverse chronological order but shot in chronological order in the summer of 2001. 18-19 The script only had 3 pages with each of the 12 scenes taking up about 1/4 of a page. None of the scenes had written dialogue. 19 They only had 6 weeks to film because Bellucci had to start production on The Matrix Reloaded in September 2001. 12. Filming. Irreversible was shot using a widescreen lightweight Minima Super 16mm camera and was later blown up to 35mm with most of the camera work done by Noé himself. 2021-22 The film consists of about a dozen apparently unbroken shots, 23 melded together from hundreds of shots. 24 This included the infamous 9-minute-long rape scene, 25 portrayed in a single, unbroken shot. 26. Noé said he had no idea how long the rape scene was going to last, as this was determined by Monica Bellucci, who essentially directed the scene, and Joe Prestia, a professional French boxer, who played her assailant. 27 When asked directly why it had to be so long, Noé responded, "That is simply as long as it might last in real life. Sometimes you hear stories of someone being raped for half an hour. It seemed the normal timing for the situation." 28. The rape scene was shot 6 times over 2 days, each take being one shot from a fixed camera. There was no intimacy coordinator involved given this profession didn't yet exist. 18 2016 Bellucci reportedly watched the films I Spit on Your Grave and Deliverance before shooting. 29 Vincent Cassel said he wanted to be present during the shooting of the rape scene as moral support, but Bellucci didn't want him there. According to Cassel, she said there was no reason to be there, and that it would be harder for the actor to work if I was. So I went to the southwest of France to serve. 16. Bellucci has expressed no issues with filming the rape scene. She has said that after shooting, she would sit down, have a cup of coffee, and think about something else. 16 It was shot in a real Paris underpass, known to be frequented by prostitutes, which has since been destroyed. 18 The dress worn by Monica Bellucci throughout the film was made by Yves Saint Laurent and was modeled after a green silk dress that Bellucci owned. They made 10 copies of the dress since it was destroyed during every take of the rape scene. 28. The fire extinguisher scene was inspired by a VHS documentary No had bought in England called Executions, which supposedly showed real footage of the different methods of capital punishment. According to No, one scene showed a man screaming with half his head missing. He said, "I couldn't believe that someone with half his brains out wasn't dead or that it would take so long to die. I was really shocked by that image, so for Irreversible I gave that tape to my visual effects guy, and said, how could we do this?" 30. Many of the actors in the film were non-professionals. For example, according to No, the two guys who say, "Revenge is a human right." Those were the guys doing security for my movie. It's funny, you start talking with people and they find their own words, their own ideas. 29. Much of the acting throughout the film is improvised, but notably two scenes were thoroughly rehearsed, the kicking of Bellucci's character's head in the rape scene and the murder scene with the fire extinguisher. 3128 No said that he would show footage of the rape scene to Cassel and Dupontel before shooting the revenge scenes to help them get crazy. 29. There were apparently multiple endings of the film, one more explicative and one more emotional. The emotional ending is the one that ended up being chosen. 29. No stated in interviews that during the production of the film he used cocaine in order to help him carry the large cameras needed to capture the rotating shots in the film. 32. He also said the only difficult scene to film was the party scene, which took 20 takes. 12. No has said his decision to include the butcher, the protagonist from I Stand Alone, in the beginning of Irreversible was inspired by Stanley Kubrick. No said, "I read a book about Kubrick, and it said that he liked to use something from one film in the beginning of another. I liked the idea of that, as if there was a commercial in between, and then you pick up where you left off." 29. There is also a nod to Kubrick in the posters seen in the apartment of the characters played by Bellucci and Cassel. Hanging above Bellucci's character's bed is a rare 2001, A Space Odyssey poster, and on the dresser is a half sheet from Kubrick's 1956 film The Killing. 33. Post-production. Computer-generated imagery was used in post-production for the penis in the rape scene. 34. It was also used in the scene where Pierre beats a man's face and crushes his skull with a fire extinguisher to augment the results, as initial footage using a conventional latex dummy proved unconvincing. 35-36. The soundtrack was created by Thomas Bang Alter, of Daft Punk. During the first 30 minutes, in the club scene, the music is designed to sound as if there were two different tracks playing at two different levels to imitate real clubs. 28. Then, an extremely low-frequency sound of 27 Hz, a sound which police used to stop riots, was added to create a state of nausea and anxiety in the audience. The sound is not immediately perceptible to the spectator but is powerful enough to evoke a physical response. 37-38-28 No said, "You can't hear them, but they make you shiver." In a good cinema with a good audio system, the sound can scare you much more than what's happening on the screen. 39. This technique, called sense-around, involves the intentional use of a sub-audible sound to enhance the spectator's experience of a movie, in this case, deliberately making them uncomfortable, although this would only be experienced in a cinema setting as most home speakers would not emit such low frequencies. 38. Release. Bellucci at the 2002 Cannes Film Festival. The film premiered in France on May 22, 2002 through Mars Distribution. It competed at the 2002 Cannes Film Festival. 40. It was released in the United Kingdom on January 31, 2003 through Metro Tartan Distribution, and the United States on March 7, 2003 through Lionsgate Films. It grossed $792,200 from theatrical screenings. 4. Irreversible, straight cut, French, Irreversible, in version intégrale, First screened at the 2019 Venice International Film Festival after No decided to give this version of the film a wider release instead of relegating it to a home release special feature. It was released in Los Angeles and New York City on February 10, 2023. 9. Reception and legacy. Critical response to the film was divided, with some critics panning the film and others considering it one of the year's best. The film holds an approval rating of 59% based on 126 reviews at Rotten Tomatoes, with an average rating of 6.10/10. The website's critics' consensus states, though well filmed, Irreversible feels gratuitous in its extreme violence. 41. On Metacritic the film has a score of 51% based 38 critic reviews indicating mixed or average reviews 42. The film received 3 votes in the 2012 Sight and Sound Critics poll of the greatest films 43 and in 2016 was listed by critic Andreas Borschold as one of the 10 best films since 2000. 44. Audience reactions to both the rape scene and the murder scene have ranged from appreciation of their artistic merits to leaving the theater in disgust. 45. Newsweek's David Anson stated that if outraged viewers, mostly women, at the Cannes Film Festival are any indication, this will be the most walked out of movie of 2003. In the same review, Anson suggested that the film displayed an adolescent pride in its own ugliness. 46. It was reported that around 200 people walked out of the Cannes screening, and local emergency services had to administer oxygen to 20 people who fainted during it. Vincent Cassel said his brother stood up in the middle of the Cannes screening and shouted expletives directed at Gaspar Noé. 16. It didn't win a single prize at the festival. 8. American film critic Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times awarded the film 3 stars out of a possible 4. Ebert declared many viewers would find the film unwatchable due to the graphic violence, but he also proposed the film's structure makes it inherently moral rather than an exploitation film. By placing the ugliness at the beginning, Gaspar Noé forces us to think seriously about the sexual violence involved. 7. Film critic David Adelstein argued Irreversible might be the most homophobic movie ever made. 47. Noé's depiction of gay criminal Letini raping the female lead, Alex, remains the film's most controversial image. In his defense, Noé stated, "I'm not homophobic," noting I also appear in Irreversible, masturbating at the gay club, as a means of showing I didn't feel superior to gay people. 48. Despite the negative press, Noé has stated that Irreversible was his only commercial success. 49. Irreversible has been associated with a series of films defined as the cinema du corps, cinema of the body, which according to Tim Palmer 50 includes an attenuated use of narrative, assaulting, and often illegible cinematography, confrontational subject material, and a pervasive sense of social nihilism or despair. Irreversible has also been associated with the new French extremity movement. 51. Director Damien Chazelle credits the club scene in Irreversible as an influence on his film Babylon. 18. In 2019, Irreversible, Straight Cut premiered at the Venice Film Festival, an alternate and remastered edit of the film presented in chronological order. On Rotten Tomatoes the film has a 90% approval rating with an average rating of 6.80/10 out of 10 critics. 52. Accolades. Irreversible won the top award, the Bronze Horse for Best Film, at the 2002 Stockholm International Film Festival. It was nominated for the Palme d'Or at the 2002 Cannes Film Festival, Best Foreign Language Award by the Film Critics Circle of Australia, and Best Foreign Language Film at the 2003 Online Film Critics Society Awards. It was voted Best Foreign Language Film by the San Diego Film Critics Society, tied with The Barbarian Invasions, Les Invasions Barbers, 53, and it won runner-up for Best Foreign Language Film and runner-up for Best Cinematography at the 2003 Boston Society of Film Critics Awards. Monica Anna Maria Bellucci, Italian, Nica Bellucci, born September 30, 1964, is an Italian actress and model who began her career as a fashion model before working in Italian, American, and French films. She has an eclectic filmography in a range of genres and languages, and her accolades include the David di Donatello, Globo d'Oro, Nastro di Argento, and nominations at Saturn Awards and César Awards. In 2018, Forbes Italy included her in their list of the 100 most successful Italian women. Bellucci was represented by elite model management and modeled for Dolce & Gabbana campaigns. She made her acting debut in the Italian television miniseries Vita coi figli, 1991. She went on to play one of Dracula's brides in the horror film Bram Stoker's Dracula, 1992, and then enrolled in acting classes. After appearing in Italian productions, she had her breakthrough role in The Apartment, 1996, for which she received the César Award nomination for Most Promising Actress. Bellucci came to the attention of American audiences in Under Suspicion, 2000, and gained greater international recognition as Malena Scordia in Malena, 2000. Bellucci starred in the period horror Brotherhood of the Wolf, 2001, and the comedy Asterix and Obelix, Mission Cleopatra, 2002. She portrayed a rape victim in the controversial thriller Irreversible, 2002, and Persephone in the 2003 science fiction films The Matrix Reloaded and The Matrix Revolutions. Bellucci was praised for her portrayal of Mary Magdalene in the drama The Passion of the Christ, 2004. She played a prostitute in How Much Do You Love Me? 2005, and Shoot 'Em Up, 2007, and acted in diverse roles in other films, including The Whistleblower, 2010, The Ages of Love, 2011, and The Wonders, 2014. Her role in Ville Marie, 2015, earned her the Dublin Film Critics Circle Award for Best Actress. At the age of 50, Bellucci appeared in the James Bond film Spectre, 2015, becoming the oldest Bond girl in the history of the franchise. She later appeared in films such as On the Milky Road, 2016, The Man Who Sold His Skin, 2020, and Beetlejuice, 2024. On television, she has acted in Mozart in the Jungle, 2016, and Call My Agent, 2018. She made her stage debut in 2019 as Maria Callas in Letters and Memoirs. Bellucci starred alongside her second husband Vincent Cassel in on-screen partnerships that span 10 years. She has remained involved in modeling, and worked as a brand ambassador for luxury brands such as Cartier and Dior. Some media outlets have labeled Bellucci a sex symbol. Bellucci received the Knight insignias of the French Order of Arts and Letters in 2006 and of the French Legion of Honor in 2016. She represents Italy as a permanent member of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. Early life. Monica Anna Maria Bellucci was born in Città di Castello, Umbria, Italy, on September 30, 1964. 234 excessive citations. Her father, Pascal Bellucci, owned a trucking company, and her mother, Brunella Briganti, was a housewife and amateur painter. Bellucci was the only child in her family since her parents did not want another one. 5-6 Bellucci grew up in Selkilama 7 in the commune, municipality, of San Giustino on the banks of the Tiber River. 8. Bellucci received a Catholic education. 9. She was an intelligent child. 10. According to her father, she was discreet and increasingly interested in fashion, and grew up surrounded by love. 6. Bellucci was introduced to modeling at age 13 when she posed for a photographer friend of the family in Città di Castello. 11. She was distant from other children her age, regularly made detours to get home after school. 6. And did not spend time with them in the commune's public space. Bellucci's father said she complained that everyone stared at her. 6. 12. Her father helped her gain self-confidence. 6. Bellucci developed a taste for cinema, watching films by Vittorio De Sica, Federico Fellini, Roberto Rossellini, Luchino Visconti, Marcel Carne, and Jean-Luc Godard. 13 Bellucci has said her personality largely reflects her upbringing. Certainly a lot of positivity also depends on the climate in which my parents raised me. 14. Modeling career. 1980s and 1990s. At age 16, Bellucci was asked to pose for photography sessions by her father's friend, the director of a fashion agency. 15 Having begun her modeling career, Bellucci periodically traveled to Milan and Paris while continuing her studies at Città di Castello. 16 According to Bellucci, I approached the adult universe very early because she worked with models 10 years older than herself. 17 Bellucci said, modeling came to me naturally, and I loved pictures. I loved the world of image. 5. While hitchhiking, Bellucci met Piero Montanucci, a hairdresser from Città di Castello, who persuaded her to become his model. Bellucci, a student at the Liceo Classico, attracted attention wherever they went due to her striking appearance. 18 She was considered a local model. 12 Bellucci studied philosophy, literature, Latin, and Greek. 19 In 1983, Bellucci was dressed by Città di Castello-based fashion entrepreneur Pina Alberti and modeled at a fashion show at the Teatro degli Illuminati, the city's municipal theater, as part of an event called Momento Donna, which Maria Giovanna Elmi hosted. Montanucci, her mentor at the time 6 accompanied Bellucci to the event. 20 While in high school, Bellucci's father's friend allowed her to debut on the catwalk during a fashion show in Florence and at another in Milan. 15 Bellucci studied law at the University of Perugia, aiming to become a lawyer. 1021 She financed her studies by working as a model 10 through her father's friend. 22 After a friend of Bellucci encouraged her to apply to modeling agencies during her studies 10 She moved to Milan, one of Europe's fashion centers. 23-24 Modeling agent Piero Piazzi saw Bellucci's arrival at the elite model management agency and thought she could have been an actress. 24 Piazzi had been critical in his assessment when he first saw Bellucci in 1987, telling her she was not ready. 25 Between 1988 and 1989, Elite signed Bellucci to a contract. 15-23 In 1988, she featured on the cover of Elle France, photographed by Oliviero Toscani 26 and Vogue Spain. 27. A black = white fashion photograph of Bellucci at age 25. Bellucci at the Hotel Raphael in Paris, March 1990. Bellucci's work as a model for Elite required her to travel, so she decided to leave university. She later said being a lawyer would not have suited her. 21 She appeared in numerous international advertising campaigns, and Dolce & Gabbana recruited her as their muse. 1528 Bellucci's physical attributes aligned with the image the founders of Dolce & Gabbana wanted to portray. 29 In 1989, Bellucci lived in New York and was already a millionaire. 30 As a model, Bellucci was represented by Elite 31 and she worked in Milan, Paris, and New York. 532. In 1990, the French luxury house Dior used Bellucci's image and name for its haute couture line. 33 She was photographed by Richard Avedon, and became the protagonist of Dolce & Gabbana's campaigns, which elevated her to an icon of Mediterranean beauty. 23 She also appeared in fashion parades for the luxury fashion house Fendi. 34 In 1991, Bellucci was the brand ambassador for the cosmetics company L'Oréal. 35 The same year, Bellucci appeared in the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue, which featured photographs of her in the Caribbean. 36 Bellucci also appeared in advertisements for Givenchy, Nina Ricci, Yves Saint Laurent, Versace, and other luxury brands. 37 In 1992, Bellucci combined her work as a model with her acting debut. 38 In 1993, she first met Giuseppe Tornatore when he directed her in a television advertisement for Dolce & Gabbana perfume. 39. Bellucci opted to follow her passion for cinema, turned to acting and stopped modeling full-time. 39 Although she remained active in the industry. 40. The Italian luxury company Brahim appointed Bellucci its brand ambassador and she starred in advertising campaigns. 41. In the 1990s, Bellucci regularly modeled for calendars, beginning in 1997 at the age of 33 when Avedon photographed her for the Pirelli calendar. 42. In 1997, Bellucci became the brand ambassador and muse of Cartier jewelry. 43-44. Nina Hald of the Danish newspaper Berlingske said, Cartier chose for the first time to associate an actress closely with the house. 43. Cartier accompanied Bellucci throughout her acting career, notably on red carpets, where she wore haute joaillerie, high jewelry collections, and she worked as a model for opulent creations. 45. Italian fashion photographer Fabrizio Ferri 46 photographed Bellucci for the magazine Max's calendar. 42. 2000s. Bellucci posed for the GQ calendar in 2000 and was photographed by Gianpaolo Barbieri. 42. In 2004, while pregnant with her first child, Bellucci posed nude for the Italian cover of Vanity Fair in a protest against Italian laws that restricted access to in vitro fertilization. 47. That same year, Bellucci's status as the only actress who was contractually bound to Cartier was made public. 48. In 2006, she was named brand ambassador for Dior and the face of a range of products until 2010. 49. Cartier designed a collection of luxury diamond jewelry that was inspired by Bellucci and bore her name. 43-44. It was first presented at a Cartier event in Dubai in 2007. 43. 2010s and 2020s. Bellucci's appearances in television advertisements include Martini Gold, a collaboration between Martini and Dolce & Gabbana, in 2010. 50. She again posed semi-nude whilst pregnant for the cover of the April 2010 issue of Vanity Fair Italy. 51. Cashmere goods manufacturer Eric Bompard appointed Bellucci as its brand ambassador for its winter 2011-2012 advertising campaign. 52. In 2012, Bellucci was the face of an eponymous range of Dolce & Gabbana lipstick. 53. She appeared in other seasonal fashion campaigns for Dolce & Gabbana. 54-55. She was signed to Storm Management in London and D Management Group in Milan. 56-57. Bellucci was chosen as the face of German cosmetics manufacturer Nivea for its 2018 and 2019 campaigns. 58. In June 2018, Bellucci appeared in a fashion parade for Dolce & Gabbana when she opened the second day of Milan Fashion Week. 59. According to Stefano Gabbana, Bellucci returned to the catwalk for the house for the first time since 1992. 60. She also appeared on the catwalk for Dolce & Gabbana at the early 2019 Milan Fashion Week, along with Helena Christensen, Eva Herdigova, and Isabella Rossellini, who joined the influx of 1990s supermodels returning to the fashion spotlight. 61. Bellucci remained the muse and ambassador of the Cartier brand in the 2020s. 62-63. Since 2000, Bellucci has appeared on national and international covers of Elle, GQB, Harper's Bazaar, Marie Claire, Maxim 65, Paris Match, Sean, The Sunday Times Style, Vanity Fair, and Vogue, among others. 67. Acting career. Main article, list of Monica Bellucci performances. 1990 to 1999, early roles and breakthrough. In 1990, Italian director Carlo Vanzina noticed a photo of Monica Bellucci in a magazine and recommended her to Dino Risi, who was looking for a new face for his television miniseries Vita coi figli. 68. Bellucci had never thought of becoming an actress and was surprised to be chosen for a role. D37. Bellucci made her acting debut in Vita coi figli 32, a two-part television film that was broadcast in Italy in May 1991, in which she played Elda. 69-70. The same year, Bellucci made her film debut in La Rifa, which Francesco Laudadio directed. 71. In 1992, Bellucci played one of the three brides of Dracula in the horror film Bram Stoker's Dracula. 72 Roman Coppola saw a photograph of Bellucci in the Italian magazine Zoom and implored his father Francis Ford to offer her a film role. 39 Coppola arranged a meeting with Bellucci in Los Angeles while she was in New York for a photography session. After talking with Coppola, Bellucci realized she would embark on an acting career. 73 At Coppola's request, Bellucci stayed in Los Angeles during filming. She was apprehensive about the city and believed her English needed improvement. She decided her next acting work would be in Italy. 21 Bellucci's role as a sensual vampire was her international film debut. 74. Following her minor role in Bram Stoker's Dracula, Bellucci returned to Italy and enrolled in acting classes. 21 According to Bellucci, I craved it. I needed to act. 10 Bellucci said that a time when all of her friends were leaving the faculty was a challenging time. 4 Bellucci had difficulty overcoming the prejudices related to her modeling and her physical appearance, and had to work to establish her credibility. 21 For the next 4 years, Bellucci starred in Italian films but was ultimately dissatisfied due to the lack of opportunities, and she aspired to an international acting career. 39 Bellucci appeared in the Emmy-winning biblical television miniseries Joseph, 1995. 75-76 In her view, the Italian film industry needed to invest more money to promote films internationally. 77 Bellucci moved to France to improve her career prospects. 39 And settled in Paris in 1995. 78. Bellucci's portrayal of Lisa in The Apartment, 1996, 79 A moody French film noir, earned her a César Award nomination for Most Promising Actress. 5 This launched her career in France and strengthened her position as an actress. 39 It was her first French-language film. 80 Gavendra Hodge of the Sunday Times stated that her breakout role was in the European Arthur's film The Apartment. 57 The BBC's Almar Haflidason described the film as seductive and startling, giving it a rating of 5 stars. 81 Bellucci's second French film was Jean Counen's Doberman, 1997, in which she portrayed a mute Romani woman and had to learn sign language beforehand to embody her character. Recalling the filming process, she expressed an inclination for mise-en-scenes, stage settings, that pass more through bodies than through words. 73 At this point in her career, Bellucci made a significant impact on European audiences. 77 Pierce Brosnan performed a screen test with Bellucci for the James Bond film Tomorrow Never Dies, 1997, then requested she be given the role of Paris Carver, but the studio stated only an American actress could be cast in the role. 82 For her leading role as Giulia Giovannini in the Italian comedy drama El Ultimo Capodanno, 1998, 83 Bellucci received a Globo d'Oro Award for Best Actress. 85 The Apartment later won a British Academy Film Award, BAFTA, for Best Film Not in the English Language. 86 Prompting film director Stephen Hopkins to take a close interest in Bellucci. 73. 2000 to 2003, American films, Malena, and Irreversible. Bellucci in a light blue dress and black hair standing next to Alain Chabat in a black suit. Bellucci and film director Alain Chabat at the 2001 César Awards. In 2000, Bellucci caught the attention of American audiences with her first English-language lead role in Hopkins Under Suspicion, in which she starred opposite Morgan Freeman and Gene Hackman. 77 Hopkins cast Bellucci after watching her performance in The Apartment and retained her ideas to create the character Chantal Hurst. 77 Garth Pears, writing in The Times, noted her improved spoken English. 87 Under Suspicion was selected as one of the 2000 Cannes Film Festival's closing films. 88 Marking her red carpet debut at the annual event. 89 After the film's release, Freeman said, "It's all there in her eyes. She has this quality that reminds me of Jean Moreau. There is a sense of having been there, that she's had a life." 77. Variety listed Bellucci among the 10 young actresses to keep an eye on. 90. Bellucci returned to Italian cinema, portraying Malena Scordia, an enigmatic, envied and coveted World War II widow whose life unfolds before a 13-year-old boy in the Tornatore-directed film Malena, 2000, which is set in Sicily. 77 Los Angeles Times film critic Kevin Thomas said the film emphasizes the seductive appeal of the film's protagonist Scordia, to whom Bellucci gave an heroic portrayal that was delivered with a few lines of dialogue. 91 Writing for The Guardian, Mark Salisbury considered Bellucci's portrayal in the Oscar-nominated film her breakout performance. 21 Malena brought Bellucci worldwide attention. 87-92 It was her first international success and caused her to be besieged by offers from Hollywood when Miramax secured the film for U.S. distribution. 39 For the U.S. release, 10 minutes of explicit, erotic scenes from the film were censored. 93. Bellucci starred with Samuel L. Behan and Vincent Cassel in Christophe Gans's Brotherhood of the Wolf, a 2001 French period drama film that is based on historical events involving the Beast of Gévaudan that decimated the population of Lozère in 18th century France. 77-94 The Washington Post film critic Stephen Hunter found the film's stylistic approach too dense, obscuring Bellucci's fabulous natural asset. She played an underused role as a courtesan, papist spy. 94 The film received positive responses from other critics. 95 Brotherhood of the Wolf was a box office success in France, where it attracted 5 million viewers and grossed $70 million worldwide, including $11 million in the US, against a budget of about €32 million. F97 The film earned Bellucci a Best Supporting Actress nomination at the 2002 Saturn Awards. 98 The filming of Asterix and Obelix, Mission Cleopatra, 2002, in which Bellucci starred with Jamal Debbouze, which, with its light-hearted, comic atmosphere, was one of Bellucci's favorite cinematographic experiences. 99 She portrayed the prickly Cleopatra, the Queen of Ancient Egypt, in the comedy film, which was directed by Alain Chabat. 100 The Guardian film critic Peter Bradshaw wrote Bellucci was certainly talented enough to merit getting the role of Cleopatra in some serious treatment, but before then, she had to perform in a funny mainstream commercial French production. 101 The film was a success, selling 14 million tickets in France at the time of its release and grossing more than $128 million worldwide. 102 Bellucci in a white dress, posing for photographers. Bellucci at the 2002 Cannes Film Festival for the promotion of Irreversible. In 2002, Bellucci co-starred with Cassel in Gaspar Noé's violent Arthur's thriller Irreversible. G87 104 The revenge film, which was filmed on Super 16 film using handheld cameras, depicts Bellucci playing Alex, who is graphically raped for 9 uninterrupted minutes in an underpass, a scene Bellucci had to film 4 times. 21 Bellucci's indelible scene was filmed on the outskirts of Paris, in an area frequented by prostitutes. Bellucci and Cassel, who at the time were in a relationship, were some of the country's biggest talents. 105 audiences at the 2002 Cannes Film Festival were outraged during the midnight premiere of Irreversible H, with some calling it unsustainable. 106-107 Lisa Ness Elson of Variety said Bellucci showed responses to peril and joy that are particularly memorable. 108 The film has been studied in film schools. 89-109 No said he has never seen an actress so charismatic, with that much guts. Her performance is incredibly audacious. 110 K Austin Collins of Rolling Stone called Irreversible one of the most controversial movies ever. 107 In 2003, Bellucci played Alessia in the Italian film Remember Me, My Love, which was directed by Gabrielle Muxino and earned Bellucci the Nastro d'Argento Award for Best Supporting Actress. 32-111 Bellucci co-starred with Bruce Willis in Antoine Fuqua's Tears of the Sun, 2003, an action-adventure film that is set during a civil war in Nigeria. Bellucci played Dr. Lena Kendricks, who is working for a humanitarian organization in a village that is threatened by rebels. Film critic David Denby of The New Yorker said some of Bellucci's scenes were exaggeratedly stylized but praised the film's visual prowess. 112 Los Angeles Times film critic Kenneth Duran lauded Bellucci's fierce portrayal of Kendricks, who also had a stereotypically fiery temperament. 113 Tears of the Sun garnered mixed reviews from critics and was a box office disappointment. 114. Bellucci successively portrayed the character Persephone in the two 2003 science fiction films The Matrix Reloaded and The Matrix Revolutions. 115-116 She described her character as dangerous, sensual with some sense of humor, recalling fond memories with Carrie-Anne Moss, Lawrence Fishburne, and Keanu Reeves throughout the filming process in Australia. 117 Film critic Andrew Saris of the New York Observer gave The Matrix Reloaded a positive review. 118 grossing $742.1 million worldwide against a budget of $150 million. 119-120 Alongside its release, Bellucci appeared on the cover of Rolling Stone's Spanish edition. 121 The Merovingian, Lambert Wilson, again accompanied Bellucci as her screen husband in The Matrix Revolutions, which received mixed reviews from critics. 122-123 It grossed $427 million against a production and marketing budget of $185 million. 124-125. 2004 to 2007, The Passion of the Christ and career progression. In Rome, before filming Tears of the Sun, Bellucci was notified a Mel Gibson film about Jesus was in production and she asked to meet with him about the role of Mary Magdalene. 39 Bellucci's agent advised her against appearing in this film due to its potential failure because its distribution was undetermined at the time. Bellucci ignored her agent's suggestion and rejected another film offer. 21 Gibson chose Bellucci for the role because they liked each other. 117 She wanted to portray the character as strong and deep but no one believed the film would succeed. 126 Eventually, Bellucci played an expressive Mary Magdalene in Gibson's Christian drama The Passion of the Christ, 2004, which depicts the final hours of the life of Jesus Christ. 127 The film includes dialogue in Aramaic and Latin, languages Bellucci had to quickly learn. 3973 The New York Times film critic A.O. Scott said Bellucci was the only exception to the absence of identifiable movie stars. 127 Expressing a similar opinion, L.E. Mons said in the film portraying a fundamentalist view of the gospel, Bellucci stands out from the cast list the most. 128 According to film critic Paul Clinton, Bellucci is excellent as Mary Magdalene. 129 Catholics objected to Bellucci playing Magdalene. 87 Film critic Roger Ebert described The Passion of the Christ as the most violent film I have ever seen, adding he was moved by the depth of feeling, by the skill of the actors and gave a rating of 4 stars out of 4. Overall, critics were divided in their responses to the film. 130 The Passion of the Christ was a major commercial success with a worldwide gross of over $611 million against a budget of $30 million. 131. Bellucci on the 2006 Cannes Film Festival red carpet. Bellucci at the 2006 Cannes Film Festival. On July 2, 2005, Bellucci was awarded the European Golden Globe for Cinema at Rome's 45th Globo d'Oro ceremony. 132 She said she appreciated acting in both American and European films. 126 In Terry Gilliam's fantasy adventure film The Brothers Grimm, 2005, Bellucci played the 500-year-old Mirror Queen, starring opposite Matt Damon and Heath Ledger. 133 Gilliam later said, "Immediately she comes on screen, it seems to me the whole film lifts up into another realm, a realm of sex and sensuality and danger." 21 San Francisco Chronicle film critic Mick LaSalle said Bellucci convincingly portrayed her character, whose centuries-old age appeared to him to be discordant with her allure. 134 She also voiced Cappy for the French version of the 2005 animated film Robots. 135 Bellucci had a leading role in Bertrand Blier's French romantic comedy How Much Do You Love Me, which also starred Gérard Depardieu. Bellucci portrayed Daniela, the most beautiful prostitute in Pigalle, Paris, whom a lottery-winning office worker offers to pay to live with him. A journalist at Le Monde called the film a hymn to the beauty of Monica Bellucci, and said it is neither Blier's best film nor his most failed. 136 Ness Elson commented Bellucci was optimally used in the film because she stimulates the viewer's senses and intellect. 137. In 2006, Bellucci starred alongside Daniel Auteuil in Paolo Verzi's period comedy drama Napoleon and Me as Baroness Emilia, who has a turbulent relationship Martino, Elio Germano. The film depicts Napoleon Bonaparte during his exile to Elba from 1814 to 1815. Author Mark Feeney said Bellucci does not take things too seriously in the film. 138 Bellucci said she declined to play a role in the blockbuster 300 and instead appeared in the film Auteur film, The Stone Council. 139 Bellucci was cast after the initial announcement of Sophie Marceau for the lead role in the thriller. The Stone Council was adapted from the eponymous novel by Jean-Christophe Grange. The film differs by character names. The book's female hero is called Diane Thiberge, whereas Bellucci starred as Laura Cyprien, a tormented adoptive mother who is confronted by killers who want to steal her child. Sébastien Le Fall of Le Figaro wrote that she delivers one of her best performances on the big screen with a muted sex appeal. 140 Bellucci's hair was cut short for the film, a preferred style of French cinema hairstylist John Nollet, who also styled Bellucci on the sets of Brotherhood of the Wolf and Asterix and Obelix, Mission Cleopatra. 141. Bellucci starred opposite Paul Giamatti and Clive Owen in Michael Davis' action thriller Shoot 'Em Up, which was released in the US in September 2007. Bellucci portrayed Donna Quintino, who teams up with Owen's character Mr. Smith to protect a baby during a bloody fight. 142 Bellucci's character is another prostitute with a different approach than that of her character in How Much Do You Love Me. Bellucci said she felt empathy for female sex workers, who she believes retain faith in humanity. She was fond of this sort of paradox and tried to highlight this virtue in her portrayals of characters of all types, but noted she could explore the opposite spectrum. 143 Richard James Havis of the South China Morning Post wrote, "It's the latest in a slew of extreme roles." 92 Bellucci dubbed her own voice for the French and Italian releases of Shoot 'Em Up, saying it was a frequent practice for her to accomplish each film 3 times. 144. Bellucci continued to work in French film productions and starred alongside Auteuil in Alain Corneau's The Second Wind, a remake of the critically acclaimed Jean-Pierre Melville's 1966 gangster film of the same title. 145-146 Bellucci portrayed Manouche, a tenacious character who has affection for an escaped convicted gangster. Bellucci had the idea of dyeing her hair blonde to adhere to the style of female film noir characters of the 1950s and 1960s. 147 Thierry Jousset, a critic for Liberation, wrote Bellucci was alone in a fatally virile context, but she got through it to the point of becoming the spectator's compass and the flesh of a film that sometimes lacks it. 148 In November 2007, Le Monde reported on the commercial failures of The Second Wind and The Stone Council. 149. 2008 to 2017, continued international work. Bellucci looks to the side while being photographed. Bellucci at the Women's World Award in 2009. Bellucci felt a visceral need to act in Italian films regularly. 143 In 2008, she co-starred in Marco Tullio Giordano's Wild Blood with Luca Zingaretti. The historical panorama examines the fate of Luisa Farida, Bellucci, and Osvaldo Valenti, Zingaretti, leading actors during the Italian fascism period. Author Barry Forshaw called Bellucci charismatic 150 and author Gino Moliterno praised her performance as extremely powerful. 151 Next, Bellucci played Alba in the Italian film The Man Who Loves, where she was enamored with Pier Francesco Favino's character Roberto through a cinematic flashback. 152. On March 5, 2009, Bellucci received a World Actress Award at the Women's World Award in Vienna. 153 The same year, Bellucci co-starred with Marceau in the thriller Don't Look Back, a sequel to In My Skin, both of which were directed by Marina Devan. The film depicts Marceau's character seeing changes around her and noticing her body transform into Bellucci's. 154 JB. Moraine Oblay in Rockuptable said Bellucci's physical attitude and attention to others have never been so well filmed. Variety's Derek Ellie said Bellucci looks elegant and mystified, although both film critics noted the clumsily written dialogue. 155-156 Bellucci reunited with Reeves in Rebecca Miller's romantic comedy drama The Private Lives of Pippa Lee, 2009, which co-stars Winona Ryder and Robin Wright. 157 Bellucci portrayed Gigi Lee, the former wife of a successful publisher Alan Arkin. 158 She next appeared in a cameo role in Tornatore's autobiographical film Bieria, a family saga traversing several generations that was filmed in Bagheria, Sicily. 159. In 2010, Bellucci portrayed Laura Leviani in Larissa Kondraki's biopic drama thriller The Whistleblower, which was primarily filmed in Romania and depicts a vast human trafficking network that was discovered in post-war Bosnia and Herzegovina in 1999. 160 Helen Delia of El Imon described Bellucci's character as a grizzled, stubborn, insensitive civil servant. 161 The Whistleblower received a mixed critical reception. 162-163 Bellucci made 3 films in 7 months, these were Giovanni Veronesi's The Ages of Love, Philippe Garrel's A Burning Hot Summer, and Bahman Gobadi's Rhino Season. 164 In the third segment of the comedy anthology film The Ages of Love, 2011, Bellucci starred opposite Robert De Niro, who played a divorced American art history professor living in Rome who falls in love with Bellucci's character Viola. 165 De Niro was delighted to work with Bellucci, saying she had worked her magic on him and that he had accepted the role because he wanted to act alongside her. It was filmed 2 months after the birth of Bellucci's second child. An improvised scene shows De Niro performing a striptease in front of Bellucci, which echoes in reverse a sequence in the 1963 film Yesterday, Today, and Tomorrow, in which Sophia Loren stripteased for Marcello Mastroianni. 164 For her role in Rhino Season, 2012, Bellucci learned to speak Persian. 73 109 Journalist Helen Barlow of SBS Australia said Bellucci brought her natural poise and grace to the character and surprises with a stoic minimalist performance. 166. Bellucci smiling and wearing a black top. Bellucci at the 2014 Cannes Film Festival. In 2014, Bellucci appeared in Alice Rohriger's The Wonders as Millie Katina, host of a televised contest. 167 In the film, which combines autobiographical aspects with fiction, Bellucci's character is depicted as a pagan priestess wearing elaborate clothes and surrounded with ancient figures. 168 The Wonders was critically acclaimed and won the Grand Prix Award at the 2014 Cannes Film Festival. 167 In 2015, Bellucci starred as Sophie Bernard in the Canadian drama film Ville-Marie, which was directed by Guy Adoin. The film traces the journey of Bernard, a European actress visiting Montreal for a film shoot and trying to reconcile with her son. 169 Bellucci stated Adoin had offered her one of the most beautiful roles of her career and described a stimulating fear of embodying Bernard's character that emotionally affected her. 170 The film garnered generally positive reviews and Bellucci's performance was unanimously praised. 169-171 for her portrayal of Bernard. Bellucci received the Best Actress Award from the Dublin Film Critics Circle at Dublin International Film Festival. 172. At 50, Bellucci became the oldest Bond girl at that time in the James Bond film franchise, playing Lucia Chiara in Sam Mendes' Spectre, 2015. Bellucci was initially skeptical about Mendes' project, but he argued that casting a mature woman in a James Bond film would be innovative. 173 Bellucci felt gratified to have been the first to portray a role she defined as a James Bond lady. 73 Spectre was released to mixed reviews from critics, though the British press responded more positively. 174 The film grossed $880 million worldwide against a $250 to $300 million production budget. 176 Guy Lodge of Variety called Bellucci one of the most restlessly globe-trotting stars in world cinema who does not want national borders or age brackets to dictate her filmography. 177 In 2016, Bellucci had a guest role in the third season of the American comedy-drama streaming television series Mozart in the Jungle, an adaptation of Blair Tyndall's memoir Mozart in the Jungle, Sex, Drugs, and Classical Music, portraying Alessandra, an opera singer and latest collaborator of New York Symphony Orchestra conductor Rodrigo, Gael Garcia Bernal. 178 Variety's Nick Vivarelli called Bellucci the Italian actress with international star power. 179. Bellucci portrayed Nevesta in the film On the Milky Road, 2016, 180 A romance that is set during the 1990s Bosnian War and whose lead role was played by the film's director Amir Kusturica. 181 Bellucci said, "I decided to be an actress, not a politician. I recount political choices through my artistic choices." 180. Kusturica asked Bellucci to learn her dialogue in the Serbian language. 182 She had to adapt to challenging production conditions in a land of beauty and violence. Kusturica suffered great mental pain during filming, which spanned 4 summers. 73 The Hollywood Reporter's Neil Young said the Golden Lion-nominated film's approach lacks nuance, while Bellucci performed admirably well and kept her dignity intact in a physically demanding role. 183 Her performance in the film earned her the Nastro d'Argento Europeo, European Silver Ribbon Award, which was held on July 1, 2017 at the Ancient Theatre of Taormina in Sicily. 184 In 2017, Bellucci appeared in the third season of Mark Frost and David Lynch's television series Twin Peaks. 185 The same year, Bellucci received the honorary Donostia Award at the San Sebastian International Film Festival. 186. 2018, present, recent career. Bellucci wearing a red sequin dress. Bellucci in 2018. In 2018, Bellucci had a leading role in the Australian comedy science fiction horror film Necrotronic, playing a necromancer and demonic soul eater. In his appraisal of the film, Stephen Dalton of The Hollywood Reporter said Bellucci portrayed her diva character through an operatic camp vamp performance, but that her acting style would be best suited to films by Tim Burton and Guillermo del Toro. 187 Also in 2018, Bellucci appeared in the third season of the France 2 comedy television series Dix Pourcent, 10%, playing herself with self-mockery. 188 The well-received show was initially renamed Call My Agent after its Netflix purchase. 189 In Claude Lelouch's film The Best Years of a Life, 2019, which is set in Normandy, Bellucci had a cameo role as Elena, the daughter of Jean-Louis Durac, Jean-Louis Trintignant. 190 The film garnered positive critical responses. 191. Following his documentary film Maria by Callas, 2017, writer and director Tom Wolfe proposed to Bellucci his project based on his book Maria Callas, Lettres and Memoirs, which includes the writings of opera singer Maria Callas. 192 Following the film, Bellucci made her theatrical debut at the Marigny Theatre in Paris, held from November 27 to December 6, 2019 in Maria Callas' Letters and Memoirs, a one-woman show Wolf directed. In the show, Bellucci recited letters alone on stage and wore two dresses that had belonged to Callas. 193 Bellucci has intermittently performed the show over a number of years. 192 Maria Callas' Letters and Memoirs visited European theaters, including Venice's Teatro Goldoni and Athens's Odeon of Herod's Atticus, with an orchestra that attracted 4,000 people each night. 62 In 2020, Bellucci starred as Soraya in the Oscar-nominated film The Man Who Sold His Skin, which K'Auther Ben Hania directed. Time film critic Stephanie Zacharek said Soraya, a frosty, willowy blonde, is acted by a deviously silky smooth Monica Bellucci. 194. In 2021, at the 66th David di Donatello ceremony, Bellucci received a David Special Award for her career achievements. 195 She co-starred as part of an ensemble cast including Liam Neeson and Guy Pearce in Martin Campbell's action thriller Memory, 2022, in which she played Davina Seelman, an unscrupulous real estate magnate. 196 She was initially interested in the duality of the antagonist's persona she would play and wanted to avoid typecasting based on her physical appearance, which she had experienced in the past. 197 According to Entertainment Weekly critic Leah Greenblatt, Memory is wrapped in leaden dialogue and B-movie cliché and Bellucci appears blasé. 198 In 2022, Bellucci performed Maria Callas' Letters and Memoirs at Her Majesty's Theatre in London, 199 Châtelet Theatre in Paris, and at venues in Istanbul and Los Angeles. 62. In January 2023, at 58, Bellucci performed the play at the Beacon Theatre in New York City. 192 In 2023, recalling Irreversible, Bellucci told the New York Times her days of acting in transgressive movies are behind her because she is a mother. 105 In 2023, Bellucci entered talks to star in Beetlejuice as Dolores, Beetlejuice's ex-wife and the movie's villain. 200 She won the Nastro d'Argento Award for Protagonist of the Year in Documentaries 2024 for her interpretation of Callas in Letters and Memoirs. 201. Other activities. Film industries. Bellucci was mistress of ceremonies at the 56th Cannes Film Festival, presiding over the opening and closing ceremonies that were held on the Promenade de la Croix from 14 to May 25, 2003. 89 202 From 17 to May 28, 2006, she was a jury member at the 59th Cannes Film Festival. 203 In 2009, alongside filmmakers from Europe and the US, and 70 other industry names, Bellucci signed a petition to support film director Roman Polanski, who had been arrested in connection with his 1977 sexual abuse charges while on his way to Zurich Film Festival. 204 Bellucci was also Master of Ceremonies at the 70th Cannes Film Festival, which took place from 17 to May 28, where she was in charge of opening and closing one of the major international film events. 205 206. In 2017, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences invited Bellucci to become a permanent member representing Italy, becoming one of the voting jurors who award the annual Academy Awards, Oscars. 195 207 From 26 to September 30, 2018, Bellucci chaired the judging panel of the 29th Dined British Film Festival. 208 Bellucci was due to be chairwoman of the 15th Crystal Globe Awards, which was scheduled for March 14, 2020 at the Wagram Auditorium in Paris. 209 But the ceremony was cancelled due to the COVID-19 pandemic. 210. Charities and patronages. In 2008, Bellucci supported a fundraising campaign for a center for children with cancer located in Prima Porta, Italy. The campaign was initiated by the Associazione Genitori Oncologia Pediatrica, AGOP, Association of Parents in Pediatric Oncology. 211 In 2010, Bellucci became patron of Paroles de Femmes, Words of Women, an apolitical, secular French association promoting equality between men and women in society. In March 2010, she organized the Nuit de Femmes, Women's Night, an assemblage of female politicians, researchers, doctors, lawyers, writers, painters, and business leaders, to assess the progression of women's rights in France. The funds raised went towards the building of centers of accommodation, reintegration, and support for single mothers in precarious situations. 212 In 2010, Rizzoli and La Martiniere Group published a book prefaced by Tournateur that described Bellucci's modeling and acting careers through photographs taken by Peter Lindbergh and Helmut Newton. All proceeds from the book's sales were donated to AGOP and Words of Women. 214 She donated €10,000 to the city of Caen to fund a solidarity campaign to support recovery efforts following the deadly floods of October 2015 in the Alpes-Maritimes region. 215 Bellucci is also a patron of the association SOS Autism France. 217 Foreign Relations of Italy. According to Corriere della Sera Stefano Montefiore, Bellucci is regarded as a sort of ambassador of Italy to the French population. 218 She has been involved in state dinners chaired by the President of France and organized as part of visits by foreign heads of state. On November 21, 2012, Bellucci attended a state dinner French President François Hollande hosted at the Élysée Palace in Paris during the visit of President of Italy Giorgio Napolitano and his ministers. 220 On July 5, 2021, Bellucci was invited to a state dinner hosted by French President Emmanuel Macron at the Élysée Palace in honor of Italian President Sergio Mattarella and his daughter Laura. 222 Public image. A photograph of a wax statue. Bellucci's wax figure at Grevin Museum, Paris. On November 23, 2004, Bellucci pressed the button triggering the Christmas illuminations on the Champs-Élysées Avenue that consisted of 45 kilometers 28 miles of electric garlands descending from the Place de l'Étoile towards Place de la Concorde, in the presence of the first deputy mayor Anne Hidalgo. Bellucci was the first ever foreign public figure invited by the city of Paris and the Champs-Élysées Committee J to inaugurate this annual celebration. 225 In April 2005, the Grevin Museum in Paris unveiled a wax statue of Bellucci. 226 According to Blyer, Bellucci is completely relaxed with her image and with her own sense of modesty as well. 21 Blyer compared her to Ava Gardner and the stars of yesteryear. 227 On May 9, 2008, LOBS reported on a survey of 1,003 people conducted by the Superior Audiovisual Council as part of Europe Day, where Bellucci was the second most popular European personality, excluding France, of the French. 228. A black and white portrait of Bellucci. Bellucci in 2009. Christophe Narbonne of Premiere magazine wrote, "Behind the advertising muse, the image of the reincarnated Italian diva and the globalist sexual icon, we sometimes forget Monica Bellucci, the out-of-norm actress, collector of a pile of international cult auteurs." 73 De Morgan wrote, "Most roles fit Bellucci like a glove, 229 while Christophe Carrier of L'Express said others of variable geometry compose her filmography." Clarification needed. 230 In 2018, Bellucci was included in Forbes Italy's list of successful women, the 100 winning Italian women. 231 The press call Bellucci a style icon. 232 Bellucci is associated with the wearing of high-value jewelry and an unwavering commitment to Cartier, Boucheron, and Chopard. Naomi Pike of British Vogue referred to her as a modern-day Liz Taylor, and said when dressed in diamonds, few contemporary Hollywood stars can rival Italian actor Monica Bellucci. 233. On April 10, 2016, the agency Karen Models, which represented Bellucci, opened an official Instagram account for her. 234 Instagram censored a photograph Fred Malin imaged in 2016 showing Bellucci swimming on her back in a pool, and body parts were hidden in yellow pixels. 235. Appearance. Bellucci is widely regarded as the most beautiful woman in the world and has been cited as a sex symbol. In 2001, Bellucci was pictured nude with caviar on her breasts on the cover of Esquire's Desire issue. K236 in their reviews of Malena, 2000, Thomas wrote in Los Angeles Times Bellucci has the impact of the great Italian stars, 91 and Paul Tatera of CNN International called her a world-class bombshell. 237 in 2002, Ask Men named her number 1 on the top 99 most desirable women. 238 239 Bellucci was included in Empire's list of sexiest women. 239 in 2003, Chris Campion of the Daily Telegraph stated, La Bellucci is Italy's national sweetheart and an icon of European cinema. 39 Bellucci was named the most beautiful woman in the world 240 in 2004 and 2007 in an Ipsos survey of 1,002 people in France that was commissioned by TF1. 241 242. In 2011, Bellucci was ranked 4th in Los Angeles Times Magazine's list of the 50 most beautiful women in film. 243 She was voted number 1 on NRJ 12's list of 100 sexiest stars of 2011, which was based on a nationwide survey conducted in France that included American and French actresses, models, singers, female athletes, and television presenters. 244 In 2012, Bellucci said she had never undergone cosmetic procedures, saying, "I don't like the idea of having my face retouched and, frankly, I think it's quite dangerous for an actress. Compared to a plastic face, I prefer wrinkles." 245. In the Times, Pierce called Bellucci arguably the world's most beautiful actress, saying she has the propensity to specialise in playing ugly scenes, which is exemplified by the rape scene in Irreversible, 2002. 87 In 2005, Salisbury wrote in The Guardian Bellucci represents an international object of desire and said, in person, as on screen, Bellucci radiates a rare, otherworldly beauty. 21 Based on Bellucci's projected image and her work for Cartier, Commerçant described her as the type of diva whose fame depends little on her roles. 246 Bellucci's physical characteristics have led her inclusion in lists of all-time beauties and sex symbols compiled by magazines such as Esquire Japan and Men's Health in the US and Australia. 247. Federico Roberto Antonelli, director of the Italian Cultural Institute in China, said, "Everyone dreams of Malena's Monica Bellucci." 248 In 2021, Vogue France ranked Bellucci 4th in its list of the most beautiful Italian actresses of all time. 249 Media consider Bellucci an Italian sex symbol. 21 250 Rolling Stone Italy included Bellucci in its list of 10 greatest sex symbols of the 1990s. 42 She takes a peaceful attitude towards aging and mainly believes in pasta, wine, and a little Pilates for her beauty regime, and is not addicted to exercise and dieting. 57 In 2023, Bellucci said having been objectified during her film career did not bother her and that she was aware she had made the most of her body for specific roles. 251 Elizabeth Vincent Ellie wrote for the New York Times in 2023 that Bellucci has achieved a reputation as a symbol of European glamour and sophistication that is firmly established. 192 In an interview with The Hollywood Reporter India, Tamil director Lokesh Kanagaraj revealed that both he and music composer Anirudh Ravichandar are huge fans of Bellucci. 252 253 Initially, they decided to create a song inspired by her, which led to the track being named Monica and was featured on the soundtrack to the 2025 Tamil film Coolie, 2025 film. 254-255. Personal life. Bellucci's first marriage was with Italian photographer Claudio Carlo Spasso. 256. In a 2006 interview, Bellucci said she met Basso in 1987, when he recruited her for a photography session. She was 23 and he was 5 years older. 257. Bellucci and Basso married in Monte Carlo on January 3, 1990. 257-258. They divorced a year later. 257-258. Bellucci was in a relationship with Italian actor Nicola Farinit for several years. 259-260. Farin said they met in 1990 on the set of Vita coi figli. 259-261. Farin said he felt an overwhelming passion for Bellucci. 261. Their relationship became unstable because other men increasingly lusted after Bellucci. 259-261. And the couple separated in 1995. 259-262-263. Vincent Cassel wearing a black suit and bow tie. Bellucci's second husband of 14 years. Vincent Cassel in 2018. Bellucci and French actor Vincent Cassel met in 1995 on the set of their film The Apartment. 264-265. They married in Monaco at the beginning of August 1999. 266-267. Bellucci and Cassel have two daughters, Deva, born September 12, 2004, and Leonie, born May 21, 2010, both of whom were born in Rome. 268-269. Film critic Jason Solomons wrote Bellucci and Cassel were the golden couple of European cinema. L264. The couple acted together in 9 films between 1996 and 2006. 264-270. In March 2013, Bellucci reflected on the evolution of their marriage when she and Cassel often lived separately in Italy, France, Brazil, and England. 266. The couple's separation by mutual agreement was announced on 26 August 2013. M272-273. And they later divorced. And 275. In October 2013, Bellucci said she had almost always been in a relationship since the one with her first boyfriend at the age of 14. 276. In 2019, Bellucci was in a relationship with the French sculptor and former model Nicolas Lefebvre. 277. They had been dating since 2017. 278. Lefebvre, who was then aged 36, and Bellucci made their relationship official in early March 2019 during a Chanel show at the Grand Palais in Paris. 279. Bellucci told Italian magazine F about the end of their relationship, which was reported by other media in early July 2019. 280. In February 2023, Paris Match reported that Bellucci and American filmmaker Tim Burton were in a relationship that began in October 2022. 282. In June 2023, Bellucci confirmed she was in a relationship with Burton. 283. They made their first public appearance at the Rome Film Festival in October 2023. 284. Their relationship ended in September 2025. 285. Besides her native Italian, Bellucci is fluent in French and English. 239. And is proficient in Portuguese and Spanish. 286. After her divorce from Cassel, Bellucci lived with her daughters in England, France, and Italy. By 2015, she had decided to live in France. Bellucci said, "I am entirely Italian. Everything about me is Italian, and that Paris is part of my history." 287. Bellucci said she votes in Italy, not in France. 109. And she does not have French nationality. 218. She owns houses in Rome and Lisbon. 5. And in 2023, she purchased a villa on the Greek island of Paros. 288. According to Bellucci, she has moved away from her religious roots, saying, "I come from a Catholic religion, but I'm not Catholic." 289 She has called herself an agnostic. p9. In 2018, French tax authorities investigated Bellucci for non-declaration of a safe and bank accounts in Switzerland that were linked to an offshore company in the British Virgin Islands, BVI. 290 The French authorities tried to recover French taxes for the tax years 2011 to 2013 because they suspected tax evasion. Bellucci's lawyer stated she lived in the UK and not Paris. 290 In September 2021, Bellucci said she was up to date with my tax obligations both in France and abroad. Clarification needed. The results of the investigation into her Swiss bank accounts remain undisclosed. 291 Following the investigation, Bellucci was named in the Pandora Papers, a massive data leak from offshore entities of high-profile figures, that was published in October 2021. Q292. In 2018, Forbes valued Bellucci's wealth at $45 million, ranking her as the third richest Italian actor. 293 294. Acting credits and accolades. Main articles, list of Monica Bellucci performances and list of awards and nominations received by Monica Bellucci. Bellucci has developed her acting career by alternating low-budget arthouse and auteur films with big-budget films in the Italian, French, and American industries. 92 230 295 296. Bellucci has received honors from the French and Italian governments. In 2006, French Minister of the Interior Nicolas Sarkozy conferred her with the Knight insignia of the Order of Arts and Letters. 297 In 2016, French President François Hollande presented her with the Knight insignia in the National Order of the Legion of Honor at the Élysée Palace. 298 In 2020, Mayor Dario Nardella awarded Bellucci the key to the city of Florence. Vincent Cassel, French, Ves Cassel, Ne Croconque, born November 23, 1966, is a French actor. He has earned a César Award and a Canadian Screen Award, as well as nominations for a European Film Award and a Screen Actors Guild Award. Cassel first achieved recognition for his performance as a troubled Jewish youth in Matthew Kassowitz's 1995 film La Haine, Hate, for which he received 2 César Award nominations. He also garnered attention for Gaspar Noé's film Irreversible, 2002, which he acted in and co-produced. He received the César Award for Best Actor for his role as the criminal Jacques Mesrin in Mesrin, 2008. His other César-nominated roles include Read My Lips, 2001, Mon Roi, 2015, It's Only the End of the World, 2016, and The Specials, 2019. Cassel garnered recognition with English-speaking roles in Elizabeth, 1998, Shrek, 2001, Ocean's 12, 2004, and Ocean's 13, 2007, Eastern Promises, 2007, Black Swan, 2010, and Jason Bourne, 2016. In 2020, he appeared on the HBO series Westworld. Early life and family. Cassel was born in Paris, France, to journalist Sabina Latique and actor Jean-Pierre Cassel, born Jean-Pierre Crocon. 2-3 Cassel's brother, Matthias, is a rapper with the group Assassin under the name Rockin' Squad. 4 His half-sister, Cecile Cassel, is also an actress. 5. Career. Early work in France, 1990s. One of Cassel's first on-screen appearances was a bit part in a 1994 Renault Clio advert which was used in the UK. 4. Cassel's breakthrough role was in Matthew Kassowitz's critically acclaimed film La Haine, 1995, in which he portrayed a troubled youth living in the deprived outskirts of Paris. For his role in La Haine, Cassel was nominated for 2 César Awards, for Best Actor and Most Promising Actor. 6. Throughout the 1990s and the early 2000s, Cassel performed in a string of French films. In 1996, he starred opposite Monica Bellucci, before they married, in the moody French film L'Appartement. The film was a critical success, winning a BAFTA award for Best Film Not in the English Language and the first British Independent Film Award for the Best Film in a Foreign Language. The film was also a modest hit in France, gaining 55,565 admissions its opening weekend and 152,714 admissions total. Although the film was never released theatrically in the United States, it was released on DVD on August 22, 2006. In 1998, he portrayed Henry, Duc d'Anjou in Elizabeth. In 1999, he portrayed Gilles de Rais in Luc Besson's The Messenger, the story of Joan of Arc. Other notable roles during this period of his career include the violent film Doberman, 1997, the genre-bending Brotherhood of the Wolf, 2001, and the highly controversial Irreversible, 2002, where he appears fully nude, with Monica Bellucci, after they married. Transition into English films, 2000s. Cassel at the 2008 Toronto International Film Festival. Since the early 2000s, Cassel has also appeared in a number of English-language films, such as Shrek, as the voice of Monsieur Hood, and Birthday Girl, both 2001, Ocean's 12 and Ocean's 13, 2004, 2007, and Derailed, 2005. He has also dubbed the voice of Diego, Dennis Leary, in the Ice Age franchise and Rodney Copperbottom, Ewan McGregor, in Robots. In 2007, Cassel attracted significant critical acclaim for his performance in David Cronenberg's thriller film Eastern Promises, in which he starred opposite Viggo Mortensen and Naomi Watts. The film premiered on September 8, 2007 at the 2007 Toronto International Film Festival, where it won the Audience Prize for Best Film on September 15, 2007. 8 Film Journal international critic Doris Tumarkine dubbed Cassel's performance particularly delicious. 9 J. Hoberman of The Village Voice wrote that Cassel literally flings himself into his role. 10. In October 2008, Cassel was signed to be the face of a new Yves Saint Laurent men's fragrance. The new fragrance, La Nuit de l'Homme, was launched worldwide in 2009. Cassel appeared in a 2-part film about Jacques Mesrin, who was France's public enemy #1 in the 70s. He won the César Award for Best Actor for his performance as Mesrin. Also that year, he starred in the Portuguese-language, Brazilian film Adrift, A Deriva, and made his debut as a singer on Zap Mama's album Recreation, singing alongside them on the singles Paroles, and Non. Later work, 2010s. The following year, in 2010, Cassel played Thomas Leroy in Darren Aronofsky's critically acclaimed Black Swan, 2010, alongside Natalie Portman and Mila Kunis, which attracted considerable acclaim. For his performance in Black Swan, he was nominated alongside his cast for the Screen Actors Guild Award for Outstanding Performance by a Cast in a Motion Picture. In 2011, Cassel played the lead role in the French-Spanish thriller drama film The Monk, directed by Dominique Malle. Screen Daily praised his performance, writing that Cassel exudes otherworldly gravitas and his singular looks are perfect for the role. 11. That year, he also starred in the German-Canadian historical film A Dangerous Method, directed by David Cronenberg. In the latter, he starred opposite Keira Knightley, Michael Fassbender, and Mortensen, marking their second film together. The film premiered at the 68th Venice Film Festival and was also featured at the 2011 Toronto International Film Festival. 12-13. In 2014, he portrayed the Beast opposite Léa Seydoux as Belle in the French-language adaptation of Beauty and the Beast. The film was screened out of competition at the 64th Berlin International Film Festival. 14. It was released in France in February 2014 to positive reviews, becoming a box office success. In Japan, The film topped the box office on its release, making it the first non-English language foreign film to top the Japanese box office since Red Cliff 2 in 2009, and the first French film to top the Japanese box office since Matthew Kassovitz's The Crimson Rivers in 2001. 15. In 2016, Cassel was featured in American action thriller film Jason Bourne, directed by Paul Greengrass. The film is the fifth installment of the Bourne film series and a direct sequel to The Bourne Ultimatum, 2007. Despite mixed reviews, the film was a box office success, grossing more than $400 million worldwide. 16. That year, he also attracted critical acclaim for his performance as Antoine in Xavier Dolan's It's Only the End of the World, which premiered at the Cannes Film Festival. For his work in the film, Cassel won the Canadian Screen Award for Best Supporting Actor. 17. He also received nominations for the César Award for Best Supporting Actor, the Globes de Cristal Award for Best Actor, and the Jury Prize for Best Actor at the Riviera International Film Festival. 18. In 2019, Cassel played the lead role in the specials directed by Eric Toledano and Olivier Nakache based on the true story of Stephen Benhama, who ran an organization helping people with autism find employment and activities outside the confines of the institutionalized setting. It was screened out of competition at the 2019 Cannes Film Festival, and Cassel was nominated for the César Award for Best Actor. 19. Recent work, 2020s. In 2020, he portrayed trillionaire Enguerrand Sirac, the main antagonist of the third season of the HBO series Westworld. In 2021, he narrated the documentary Reset, directed by Thierry Donnard. 20. In 2023, he starred in the Apple TV Plus spy thriller series Liaison with Eva Green. In November the same year, he was revealed as the voice actor for United Nations French agent Victor Chevalier in the 2024 video game Tekken 821, making it his first role in a video game. Vincent first came to know Tekken back in the 1990s, with his favorite character being Eddie Gordo. Personal life: Monica Bellucci in a black dress. Tina Konecki in a black dress. Monica Bellucci, left, was married to Cassel for 14 years. 22. Tina Konecki, right, was married to Cassel for 5 years. Cassel met Italian actress Monica Bellucci on the set of their 1996 film The Apartment. 23. 24. They married on August 2, 1999 in Monaco. 25. They have 2 daughters, Deva, born September 12, 2004, 26, and Leonie, born May 21, 2010. 27. Cassel and Bellucci announced their separation on August 26, 2013. 28. Bellucci filed for divorce the same year. 22. They later divorced. 29. 30. At the age of 15, Deva was Dolce & Gabbana's muse to embody their Dolce Shine perfume and later became their runway model. 31. 32. He married 21-year-old French model Tina Konecki Fr on August 24, 2018 in Bidart, France, after being in a relationship for more than 2 years. 33. 34. They have a daughter, Amazoni, born April 19, 2019. 35. Cassel and Konecki separated in 2023. 36. On October 20, 2023, media outlets revealed that Cassel was in a relationship with Brazilian model Nara Baptista, who is 29 years younger than him, 6 months after separating from his second wife of 5 years, Tina Konecki. 36. On January 7, 2025, he welcomed the birth of his fourth and Baptista's first child, a son named Catano. 37. Besides his native French, Cassel speaks English, Portuguese, Italian, and basic conversational Russian, which he learned for his role in Eastern Promises. 38. Cassel lived in Rio de Janeiro for 5 years, before moving back to Paris in 2018, and he used to have Brazilian citizenship. 39. 1. Cassel is known for having a great identification with Brazil, being a practitioner of the martial art of capoeira, He displayed this talent in the movie Ocean's 12. 40. Cassel went to different schools, including a Catholic school, eventually becoming irreligious. He opened up about his religious views in an interview, saying, "I'm totally secular myself, and I have a tremendous respect for life. Which means that I essentially believe in God in a certain sense, but I'm not a Catholic or Jewish or Muslim. I'm without a religion." 41. His father, Jean-Pierre Cassel, died of cancer on April 19, 2007 at age 74. Irreversible, French, Irréversible, is a 2002 French art thriller film written and directed by Gaspar Noé. Starring Monica Bellucci, Vincent Cassel, and Albert Dupontel, the plot depicts the events of a tragic night in Paris as two men attempt to avenge the brutal rape and beating of the woman they love. The film is made up of a title sequence followed by 14 segments made to look like long takes. Each of these segments is either a continuous shot or a series of shots digitally composite to resemble a continuous shot. The story is told in reverse order. 6. Theatrically released in France, the United Kingdom and the United States, Irreversible competed for the Palme d'Or at the 2002 Cannes Film Festival and won the Bronze Horse at the Stockholm International Film Festival. Critical reception was mixed, with praise towards the performances and Noé's direction, but criticism towards its graphic portrayal of violence and rape. American film critic Roger Ebert called Irreversible a movie so violent and cruel that most people will find it unwatchable, and around 200 people walked out of the screening at Cannes. 7-8 A version of the film told in chronological order, Irreversible, straight cut, French, Irreversible, in version intégrale, was released in 2023. 9. Plot. This summary is in chronological order as it is in the straight cut version. Time destroys everything, French, le temps détruit tout. The film's main message, which appears at the end of the original cut when the movie transitions to a strobe effect. Time reveals everything, French, le temps révèle tout. In the straight cut, this message, which still appears at the end of the film, differs from the original. Alex and Marcus, a young couple, wake up together and discuss their relationship, as well as an upcoming party, while in the nude. Marcus voices concern about Alex's ex Pierre also being invited because he stole his girl, to which Alex responds that he did not steal anything, because she is not an object and it was all her decision. Alex reveals she had a dream of herself standing in a red tunnel that breaks in two. The two talk about a potential pregnancy and Marcus expresses hope in one before Alex takes a pregnancy test, the result of which is never shown, but she seems particularly pleased with. On a public train, Pierre, Alex's ex who is also invited to the party, constantly bickers with Alex over his inability to satisfy her during their relationship, while Marcus shows no interest in their squabble. Alex explains to Pierre that he always focused too much on her, and a sexual partner can feel and is aroused by their partner's pleasure. At the party, Marcus gets drunk and takes cocaine, much to Alex's disapproval. She leaves the party, asking Pierre to look after Marcus. Alex descends into a red pedestrian underpass on her way back to the train when she notices a transgender prostitute getting attacked by a man. He immediately turns his attention to Alex, anally raping her before savagely beating her into unconsciousness. After Marcus and Pierre discover Alex being taken away by paramedics, they encounter street criminals Murad and Lady, who offer to help them find the culprit. They use an ID left at the scene by the prostitute to locate her. Marcus verbally assaults Concha, the prostitute, and threatens to cut her face open in order to gather that the rapist's name is Letinia, the tapeworm, and that he frequents a gay BDSM club called Rectum. The men are chased off by other prostitutes. Marcus and Pierre jump into a taxi cab and speed off into the night. When the cab driver doesn't know where Rectum is, Marcus attacks the driver, stealing his vehicle. The two end up finding Rectum, with Pierre reluctantly following behind Marcus. Leading the charge, Marcus proceeds to get into a fight with a man he suspects of being Letinia, who ends up breaking his arm before attempting to rape him. Pierre comes to his rescue and beats the man to death with a nearby fire extinguisher as the man's companion, the actual rapist, watches in amusement. Marcus is carried out of rectum on a stretcher while Pierre is arrested by police. Meanwhile, in a nearby small apartment, a man named the Butcher A tells a friend that he was arrested for raping his daughter before dismissing the commotion going on outside. Cast: Monica Bellucci as Alex, Vincent Cassel as Marcus, Albert Dupontel as Pierre, Joe Prestia as Letinia, Fatima Adoum as Fatima, Murad Kima as Murad, Halal as Lady, Haramio as Concha, Michel Gondouin as Mick, Jean-Louis Costes as Fisman, Philippe Naon as the Butcher, Stéphane Drouot as the Butcher's friend. Director Gaspar Noé has a cameo as one of the patrons in the rectum. Production, development and pre-production. Irreversible was originally titled Danger. 10 Gaspar Noé first found financing for the new title after he pitched the story to be told in reverse, in order to capitalize on the popularity of Christopher Nolan's film Memento, 2011. He has also attributed his ability to get funding to the celebrity status of lead actors Monica Bellucci and Vincent Cassel, who were married at the time. 12 Noé has cited several films as influences for Irreversible, including Betrayal, 1983, for its reverse chronology, In the Realm of the Senses, 1976, I Am Cuba, 1964, A Clockwork Orange, 1971, Straw Dogs, 1971, Deliverance, 1972, and Death Wish, 1974. 13-12-14 The film was produced in part by Studio Canal. 15. Noé says he had met Bellucci and Cassel at parties and that they were so madly in love at that time that they were almost asking people, "Do you have an idea for us to play in a movie together?" He originally asked them to be a part of the film project that would later become Love, but they didn't want to do the explicit sex scenes. Cassel said, "We thought about it, and he showed us lots of films with explicit sex in them like Intimacy, L'Histoire d'Io, and In the Realm of the Senses. And finally it was getting very complicated and we said no." 16. Noé then pivoted and suggested a rape revenge movie backward, and they agreed. 17. Cassel ended up as a co-producer on the film and stated that, originally, Noé wanted to purchase the rights to remake the 1983 film Betrayal, but couldn't. 16. The film was conceived in reverse chronological order but shot in chronological order in the summer of 2001. 18-19 The script only had 3 pages with each of the 12 scenes taking up about 1/4 of a page. None of the scenes had written dialogue. 19 They only had 6 weeks to film because Bellucci had to start production on The Matrix Reloaded in September 2001. 12. Filming. Irreversible was shot using a widescreen lightweight Minima Super 16mm camera and was later blown up to 35mm with most of the camera work done by Noé himself. 2021-22 The film consists of about a dozen apparently unbroken shots, 23 melded together from hundreds of shots. 24 This included the infamous 9-minute long rape scene, 25 portrayed in a single, unbroken shot. 26. Noé said he had no idea how long the rape scene was going to last, as this was determined by Monica Bellucci, who essentially directed the scene, and Joe Prestia, a professional French boxer, who played her assailant. 27 When asked directly why it had to be so long, Noé responded, "That is simply as long as it might last in real life. Sometimes you hear stories of someone being raped for half an hour. It seemed the normal timing for the situation." 28. The rape scene was shot 6 times over 2 days, each take being one shot from a fixed camera. There was no intimacy coordinator involved given this profession didn't yet exist. 18 2016 Bellucci reportedly watched the films I Spit on Your Grave and Deliverance before shooting. 29 Vincent Cassel said he wanted to be present during the shooting of the rape scene as moral support, but Bellucci didn't want him there. According to Cassel, She said there was no reason to be there, and that it would be harder for the actor to work if I was. So I went to the southwest of France to serve. 16. Bellucci has expressed no issues with filming the rape scene. She has said that after shooting, she would sit down, have a cup of coffee, and think about something else. 16. It was shot in a real Paris underpass, known to be frequented by prostitutes, which has since been destroyed. 18. The dress worn by Monica Bellucci throughout the film was made by Yves Saint Laurent and was modeled after a green silk dress that Bellucci owned. They made 10 copies of the dress since it was destroyed during every take of the rape scene. 28. The fire extinguisher scene was inspired by a VHS documentary No had bought in England called Executions, which supposedly showed real footage of the different methods of capital punishment. According to No, one scene showed a man screaming with half his head missing. He said, "I couldn't believe that someone with half his brains out wasn't dead or that it would take so long to die. I was really shocked by that image, so for Irreversible I gave that tape to my visual effects guy, and said, how could we do this?" 30. Many of the actors in the film were non-professionals. For example, according to No, the two guys who say, "Revenge is a human right." Those were the guys doing security for my movie. It's funny, you start talking with people and they find their own words, their own ideas. 29. Much of the acting throughout the film is improvised, but notably 2 scenes were thoroughly rehearsed, the kicking of Bellucci's character's head in the rape scene and the murder scene with the fire extinguisher. 31-28 No said that he would show footage of the rape scene to Cassel and Dupontel before shooting the revenge scenes to help them get crazy. 29. There were apparently multiple endings of the film, one more explicative and one more emotional. The emotional ending is the one that ended up being chosen. 29. No stated in interviews that during the production of the film he used cocaine in order to help him carry the large cameras needed to capture the rotating shots in the film. 32. He also said the only difficult scene to film was the party scene, which took 20 takes. 12. No has said his decision to include the butcher, the protagonist from I Stand Alone, in the beginning of Irreversible was inspired by Stanley Kubrick. No said, "I read a book about Kubrick, and it said that he liked to use something from one film in the beginning of another. I liked the idea of that, as if there was a commercial in between, and then you pick up where you left off." 29. There is also a nod to Kubrick in the poster scene in the apartment of the characters played by Bellucci and Cassel. Hanging above Bellucci's character's bed is a rare 2001, A Space Odyssey poster, and on the dresser is a half sheet from Kubrick's 1956 film The Killing. 33. Post-production. Computer-generated imagery was used in post-production for the penis in the rape scene. 34. It was also used in the scene where Pierre beats a man's face and crushes his skull with a fire extinguisher to augment the results, as initial footage using a conventional latex dummy proved unconvincing. 35-36. The soundtrack was created by Thomas Bangalter, of Daft Punk. During the first 30 minutes, in the club scene, the music is designed to sound as if there were 2 different tracks playing at 2 different levels to imitate real clubs. 28. Then, an extremely low-frequency sound of 27 Hz, a sound which police used to stop riots, was added to create a state of nausea and anxiety in the audience. The sound is not immediately perceptible to the spectator but is powerful enough to evoke a physical response. 37-38-28 No said, "You can't hear them, but they make you shiver." In a good cinema with a good audio system, the sound can scare you much more than what's happening on the screen. 39. This technique, called sense-around, involves the intentional use of a sub-audible sound to enhance the spectator's experience of a movie, in this case, deliberately making them uncomfortable, although this would only be experienced in a cinema setting as most home speakers would not emit such low frequencies. 38. Release. Bellucci at the 2002 Cannes Film Festival. The film premiered in France on May 22, 2002 through Mars Distribution. It competed at the 2002 Cannes Film Festival. 40. It was released in the United Kingdom on January 31, 2003 through Metro Tartan Distribution, and the United States on March 7, 2003 through Lionsgate Films. It grossed $792,200 from theatrical screenings. 4. Irreversible, straight cut, French, Irreversible, in version intégrale, first screened at the 2019 Venice International Film Festival after No decided to give this version of the film a wider release instead of relegating it to a home release special feature. It was released in Los Angeles and New York City on February 10, 2023. 9. Reception and legacy. Critical response to the film was divided, with some critics panning the film and others considering it one of the year's best. The film holds an approval rating of 59% based on 126 reviews at Rotten Tomatoes, with an average rating of 6.10/10. The website's critics' consensus states, though well filmed, Irreversible feels gratuitous in its